to get to be the guy to tell you that Nathan couldn't come. Best one.
Can't say that of you.
He has a hideous facial disease. He sent me a picture. You're glad he's not here. But I just wanted to tell you now so that we can sort of we can all get through this together. Thank you. We're actually terrified because he does most of the talking. We're twice as hard, but we're going to do our best. We all feel like Matt Saracen. We're going to step up. Now I'd like to introduce our actual very good friend and excellent moderator, Adam Berry, please.
So welcome guys to WonderCon, where all of the best black and white Shakespeare movies come. So first of all, John, when did you get the ability to bend time and space to your will and eke out the time to make this movie happen?
No, I am the one who's I was going to say bent over, but let's not go there. I have a problem. Where it's hard to stop working, and so I just, I don't know. This didn't fit in the schedule. You know, why Avengers didn't do as well as we hoped. Wasted all this time, and honestly, the way I am able to do it is that you have to have a bunch of people who can do it. You have to have this group of people who can move so quickly and so well artistically that you know you can accomplish what you want to in 12 days. If you don't have that confidence, then you don't even try.
So I wanted to kind of go down the line here a little bit and ask each of you to describe both the person you're playing in the movie and what it was like to get the phone call from Josh saying, hey, why don't you come over to my house and make this little Shakespeare movie, you know, in like 2 weeks? Ricky, let's start with you.
I play Conrad. I am the evil henchman, girlfriend / evil doing partner, and I get to kiss Sean Mahara and Haley. So, yeah, just wanted you guys to know that.
Was that the selling point?
Yeah. No, I got an email from Josh. I think it was like Wednesday at midnight, asking me if I wanted to be in a Shakespeare movie. I was like, yes, and then that was it. That was the process. So, it's pretty great.
Nick?
My name is Nick Kocher. I play Watchman number 1. I'm sort of the lead of the film. I think really the moral backbone of the movie. Getting that email was, I think my first instinct was that I had somehow unknowingly witnessed Joss, like, commit a murder or something. Like, that I had, like, some blackmailable information that I wasn't aware of. And he was buttering me and Brian. That was the furthest distance away from what's up right now. Or that it was some sort of prank. I'm still not certain that it is not a prank. Right. Clark.
That just made my day. Thank you. My name is Gregg. You don't know me that well, but I'm already a little insufferable, so don't feed the beast. I played Agent Leonato. Sorry, this sticks out in the front of everything now. I got this call from Joss, and I knew we had just finished shooting The Avengers, and that theoretically he was going to be editing it now. And so my first thought was, oh, this is sad, he's having a nervous breakdown. He thinks he's making a movie at his house. But as so many people have done, I underestimated the Whedon Sure enough, I showed up 2 days later, terrified, trying desperately to learn a lot of lines, and there was this kind of magnificent group of players from films and TV shows that I admire, and a lot of alcohol and food. And I was thrilled. And sure enough, what commenced was a kind of strange Shakespeare party where this movie got filmed, and the fact that we're now here with it is just the kind of cap on top of the magic.
Tom Melvin, who do you like?
Hello, I'm Tom Melvin. Good morning. Oh, this hat was a lot stupider than I thought. Sitting here in London, it's going for a Justin Timberlake situation. I'm completely done. The question is, what am I playing? I play Burgess, I'm the sidekick to Nathan Fillion in this film. Very difficult job to do. I was very excited to, just let Nathan do all the work and capitalize on his humor and handsomeness. And I got an email from Josh, and of course I said yes, but was also having a silent panic attack as I was deeply shamed by my Shakespeare acting teacher at UCLA, and I was before I did get a C in that class. So I wasn't sure Josh was, really having the right person play his part, since I was, on paper had already been proven to not do good. So, there you have it.
Spencer.
My name is Spencer Tree Clark, 3 names.
So cute, alright?
I play Baracho, who's normally attacked by an older, larger gentleman. I'm not sure what Joss was trying to tell me. And I got the call. I was in Wyoming working on another project, and I had horrible service. I was in the middle of a cow field, and Joss asked me to do something, and I wasn't quite sure what it was, but of course I said yes.
And then when you showed up and you realized that it was Shakespeare, what was your reaction? And then when you showed up and you realized that you had agreed to do Shakespeare, what was your reaction?
I was pretty excited. I hadn't really done any Shakespeare, but we had a lot of people who had, and a lot of people had. A little bit of an adventure.
Sean, how about you?
Of your audience may be under 18 years of age. So I'll keep my potty mouth to myself on Easter Sunday. So I don't even know what the question is. So who are you playing? I play Don John, the devious bastard villain. Oh, there you go with my potty. He's the villain of the play. He attempts to foil the plans of the wedding and the happiness of others, because he's being known as So how did I get? I was also I was out of town. I was working in Chicago. I got an email from Joss. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I was coming home from work at my hotel, and there it was. And Joss had told me what he was doing is planning, shoot this movie, blah, 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 and he said, I need a sexy villain, what sayeth you? And I replied, does this mean you think I'm sexy, John? And he said, oh, stop fishing for compliments. Are you in or you out? And I was, I think, will echo what a lot of people say. I was terrified. I had never done Shakespeare ever. I mean, I had done scene study in college, but never a true play. And I don't know. So we took a leap of faith and went for it. And I think it's like everyone sort of echoes up here the energy on the set. I mean, what people brought to this project, and I'm not just talking about the actors. You know, everybody. Where's Jay? Oh, it's right there. You know, everybody, the crew, even craft service, like everybody, hair and makeup, there was this extraordinary energy. Everybody was brought this, well, maybe not me, but everybody was brought, you know, 150% to it because everybody wanted to be there because they loved this idea of this project, and we love Joss. It was really wonderful to be surrounded by that kind of dedication and talent. It was extraordinary.
Jillian, how about you? Who are you playing and how did you come to this fun party?
I'm Jillian Wojcicki. I'm playing Hero. Kind of a younger couple who's vibrant and bickering with Benedict, who this guy at my wedding. I was background on the Avengers and met Joss doing that, and through a series of events I ended up Skyping an audition for this with Joss. I had to do a Shakespearean monologue, I've done Shakespeare before, so I did it, and he said I wanted to play Hero after I finished, and then I don't even think it went into my head, and I was like, okay. And then I said goodbye and turned off Skype, and then I was sweating, and I was like, what is happening? And then about a week and a half later, I was there filming, and I was terrified until I got there and met everyone and felt so comfortable so fast, which was amazing. And I had the opportunity to go every second I wasn't filming. I would go and just sit behind the monitor with Joss and watch these people do such amazing work, and I learned so much from the experience, and I'm so grateful. Thank you.
So Jay, you're the cinematographer.
It's very modern, it's very accessible. It wasn't really until Kai, who produced the film, my wife, who produced the film and who built the house we shot it in, really said, you know, you've been talking about this, you've got the actors, you've got everything in place. We've got a crew now that we were looking at to use for another movie, and they're in place. Everything's there. You just what do you want to say? And I don't know, it's not nothing. And when I looked at the text, really just looked at it for a short period, I just went, oh, this is dark and full of pain. Why did I miss that? And I think there's an opportunity here to really examine the underbelly of what's going on, while still having all the fun. You know, I realized I'm as interested in Hero and Claudio as I am in Phoebe and Benedict. I'm as interested in Borachio and Margaret and everybody in the play and their motivations and my understanding of them. You know, you can't ask people like this to your home if you don't have something really important to say about them. Except for the sex bit, I'm sorry. I mean, at least in the play, like Antonio, it's cut. But the darkness and how everything in it is part of that same story. Very often it's played via St. Benedict, plus if you act now on some other stuff. And this movie isn't that. It has a lot of commentary about romantic love and how we're pushed in certain ways, how we're expected to behave in certain ways and think certain things when we're in love. And that to me is extremely grown up, and yet while it's tearing it all down, it's also very romantic. And I thought, I think I can also put some sex in here. And I tried to put a lot of sex in the Avengers. Scarlett just kept going, Josh, stop. You're embarrassing yourself. So that's my revenge.
It's also incredibly funny, and gives you a lot of opportunity to have some great comedy, including the next scene we're going to see. What a second. Which this scene involves Nathan and actually a great.
They're both so awesome in different ways. There's not a danger that anyone's going to turn into a giant green rage monster. And I was clear that in this script, it was going to be hard for him to kill me off. But in all seriousness, I had so much fun doing the Avengers, and even though it ended kind of badly, I was going through a little postpartum, like, oh, I don't want this to be over, and then to get another call, I just got to jump in with a different group of Avengers, equally superheroic. And it just was more of the good time. I love that.
And Josh, would you ever conceive, I know that you're sort of booked up with the Marvel Universe until at least 2015, but is there do you conceive of doing this again, of sort of getting a bunch of your friends together, shooting Shakespeare or something else in the sort of same kind of fly by the seat of your pants style that you did this film with?
Not these people. Yes, but the question very often comes like, well, what Shakespeare play are you going to do next? And there are two answers to that. First is Hamlet, and the second one is that's not necessarily the next thing I want to do. What I would love to do is take this exact cast and do something completely different. I had never shot Shakespeare before. I had never edited a movie, which Danny Kaminsky and I did together before. I had never written a score before. I have now done a Shakespeare movie. It gives you the bug and you want to do more, but I also want to do something new, something very different. But yeah, truthfully, if it could be with these guys, I honestly wouldn't care what it is.
Aww. Okay, let's go to questions. This cool light thing is about to happen, so let's go to questions.
We are rock stars.
All right, my question is for the cast and for Joss. I was just wondering if you could notice any similarities sort of in style or anything between the words of Shakespeare and the words of Joss Whedon. Like if there was any sort of similarities there in sensibility or tone or anything like that. And then if Mr. Whedon could answer that as well, that would be fantastic. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think a lot of them don't make any sense. And they're in the wrong order and you gotta look shit up. And yeah, I just like Shakespeare. That quote is going to get tweeted and everyone will hate me. Set up on Buffy, write a song in my office called The Ballad of How I Like Shakespeare. But that was only after there was a report that they had found traces of weed in his pipe.
Alright, let's go to the next question.
Hi, my name is Tina. First of all, I think I can speak on behalf of all of us that we love you very much. Wanted to ask, for the actors and also for Josh, what was the most difficult part of sort of modernizing this story?
Somebody else had that.
Did you say the most difficult part?
Modernizing the story was the most difficult part. Modernizing. Interesting part. Modernizing. Make a joke. Something for God's sake. People don't watch this live.
was like, I didn't exactly always understand what I was saying, so speak Shakespeare is a lot like speaking Swedish. I'm not fully trained in Swedish or Shakespeare, so I would have to ask Josh to essentially translate
and then I'd have to ask Alexis.
So it was just kind of, but he actually made it easy because all the direction and all the way the scenes were set made sense in the original text and probably the way you would have seen it on stage, but then it also made sense, you know, in the bedroom of his house or in the policeman's lair. What do police have? Not a lair, I don't know. There's no dragons in this movie, spoiler alert. But yeah, so I think Josh took the difficulty away.
Next question.
Hi. I just graduated with a film degree last year, and I was really intrigued by how you made this movie. It's very like how me and my friends make our movies, where a bunch of us get together, we go to someone's house and film a film. So I was just wondering what kind of advice you have for people who really want to get famous or at least successful in the film industry. And I've heard just keep making movies, I know that, but I'm wondering like what you think of just starting out and using Kickstarter, using Indiegogo, and how you use Twitter and all that kind of stuff. Like how do you think I could someday be where you're sitting right now?
Well, you could actually just come up. Didn't get that over. Even though you just asked Wilford Brimley about Twitter. I could not know less about how to work social media or what my phone is for. I still made calls. But I will say that part of how this group came together, Nick and Brian and Ricky were all people that I became huge fans of on the internet because they were writing and directing some of the best sketch comedy and songs that are on the internet. And that, looking to them,
Thank you.
Garfunkel and Oates. If you are under 18 years of age, very dirty. So I just created dirty would be my advice. But you know, and even when we did the bus ride, I was like, I'll tweet, watch, and just.
You're talking about the bus ride to South by Southwest.
We all took a bus to Austin together. 30 hours on a bus together, and we're still talking. That's camaraderie. But these guys were setting out vines and pictures that I wasn't even aware of. I was in some of them, and I wasn't aware of them. I would say from watching these guys and watching other people, you know, like the great entrepreneur and the hardest working woman in show business, Felicia Day. It's about becoming every kind of producer, and so that you can micromanage everything until you reach a state where you actually have enough people you trust that you can let them start to do it for you. That's what I got.
That's good. Also, I have some advice for you if you want to, just because I got stuff through social media in this movie. I think you need to be really hard on yourself, really patient, and not result-oriented. I think that's kind of the key. You just keep making it. You just graduated, just keep doing it. Don't expect results right away, and be harder on yourself and harder on yourself. Make more and more, get better and better. And I think good things will happen.
Also, if you eventually, just statistically, for my life, if you wait long enough, Joss Whedon emails you. So I think that probably happens.
If I see correctly, I think you're wearing a Son of Coal t-shirt. We have a big future in this business.
question is for Joss, which is, you've worked with Amy and Alexis before, obviously, because you used to play actors and everything. But what is...
eggs, by the way? Are you whisking something?
Question is, what is it like having two actors who you before have had a love interest and have that chemistry, but as completely different love interests? And like, what is it like directing them in that kind of way?
Dirty. I come back to it again and again, partially because of the chemistry they have. We were talking about two actors who both got to die in each other's arms. And the intensity of what the three of us went through with that experience. And obviously they went through something that I wasn't a part of. But there was also, the part that I got to have access to. It was enormously electric and romantic. And because they're dear friends of mine and each other's, and because at the Shakespeare readings they just killed everything. They were so great. They were stuck in my head. I didn't approach it differently. You approach every character differently, obviously. But I wasn't looking to get something that I hadn't already gotten, because they came to it with a history, and in our version of the movie, Beatrice and Benedict have a history. It's not a very long one, it's not a night, but it informs how they are together. And knowing that I had that intimacy, there wasn't really a lot of sort of me trying to direct them in one way or another. It was more just appreciating what they had and us discussing what they were actually saying all the time. I forget either Amy or Alexis, who their first scene together, one of them is like, she's like, I hate men and I don't want to fall in love, and he's like, yeah, I don't like women at all. And they're completely putting each other down the whole time, but one of the actors pointed out, they're also both saying, BT dubs, I'm single. Always knowing that we were playing both threads at once meant that you could give it that through line of integrity, but I didn't say that, hey, have chemistry, because they had that covered.
Next question.
Hello, my name is Vanessa, and my question is for Joss. In what we've seen so far, it seems like you stayed very true to the material of the dialogue, and I was wondering what the difficulties were for bringing the old to the new, to the modern to the old, and how you meshed them together so beautifully. I mean, what were some of the struggles involved in that?
It wasn't a huge struggle. You see productions of Shakespeare that are set at different times, at different places. The first Much Ado I ever saw was set during World War I, which meant that Don John had the best episode. You were the best Don John. It translates, it always does. There were certain decisions that had to be made. Sword, there's going to be a gun, they're going to come in cars, they're going to have to say, I learned in this letter, and hold up their cell phones. Not to be cute about it, but just because, so that it would flow. But with the black and white, and putting everybody in these elegant suits and lovely summer dresses, we were trying to, while modernizing it, also create a kind of distance. Sort of, these are people we don't all necessarily hang out with. This is from another era. We wanted to evoke kind of a 30s and 40s noir comedy thing. So, the language, it just works. It holds up. Shakespeare's talking about people, and very often, even though it's very poetic in the way that people talk. These guys all wrapped their mouths around all those speeches with such specificity and such emotion that, I think, hopefully, a little ways in the movie, you forget that it's Elizabethan funny talk.
Can I add something to that, actually? One of my favorite parts about the film is that how Joss interpreted the text through a modern lens, or the contemporary lens, or contemporary perspective, and it elicits this new meaning that Shakespeare probably never intended. But you got these
jokes and sort of like funny and touching moments that I don't think you've ever seen in other productions of the play because of just the blocking and the, you know, for instance, changing the gender of Ricky's character, and then, you know, these decisions elicit new meaning, and that's the most unique part about this. It's not just a, you know, bland retelling of the same story. It's new.
Next question. Hi, my name is Mike. What was the decision of it being a full black and white movie that you did like a hint of color in the movie? What was that
decision? Well, 2 years and I'll be able to do this for you. You know, they stuck little bits of color in the trailer, which was something we had actually talked about doing in the movie, because there were certain things we really wanted to pop out. We didn't have the money to do that, because it would have taken, you know, so that was actually done by the trailer house, I think, beautifully. But we wanted to, because, for example, the room that Benedict and Claudio Benedict is talking about, you know, his disdain for women and marriage, and they walk into the room that they're staying in at Leonardo's estate, and it's bright pink, because it was actually my daughter's room. And I was like, can we have the pink? But then where do you get rid of the pink? And it was something we would love to have done, but no, we couldn't. So we went with black, white, and some grays.
Next question.
Hi, my name is Matt, and this is directed to Josh. First off, my mom says hi. Second, before you create or participate in a project, what is the thing that makes you say, yes, this is something that I want to do?
Do I have something to say? It took me a long time to figure out if I wanted to do the Avengers, because I knew that it was a job of work, and I sort of thought about it for a long time, and went, okay, do I have anything to say about a bunch of weird, alienated people who were forced to come together when they'd rather be alone? And I thought, and you know, we did the reading with Amy and Alexis playing Readings Benedict at the house. We did a Shakespeare reading in the backyard about 10 years before we actually shot it. And it was looking at text and going, oh, I have something to say about this. It's not, as Jay was saying, if you can throw up cameras and shoot a production of a play, but, you know, we wanted to make a film, we wanted to make a new film, and it was realizing, oh, this will be my version of what he has to say, which is what every director and actor gets to do when they reinterpret something classical. It's a great experience.
Next question.
I have a question for
That's an awesome t-shirt, man.
I have a question for Josh and the entire cast. Do you guys have any memorable on-set experiences?
Somebody else, memorable on-set experience? Someone have one, or make up an awesome one. You have Nathan, and he's not here.
I'll jump in. It's hard to pinpoint, I think, one experience, but a lot of the party scenes, it was actually a real party happening, like in one room, and then you would go and film it in the other, and then outside, and then come back in and join the party. And there were just so many dance parties, which I think might be my favorite part. And we continued, I mean, every time we get together, there is a dance party on the bus even. So for me, that's just like getting together and dancing.
When we shot it at Johnson's house, that was the set. So we were encouraged to like come and just stay like hang out on set, and like get drunk and like pass out. We've never allowed on set before, much less encouraged. I mean, and that was the whole experience. It was just like one big party. It was incredible.
And because it was a Johnson house too, I went to his drawers.
Doesn't need chest.
Well, and also it weirdly has continued, like there's been recurring dance parties, and then the 2-day-long dance party on the bus to Texas. So it's weird that a cast even sees each other after filming something, but the fact that we all got along so well and continue to hang out, it's kind of weird but awesome.
I feel like once it does come out, we're gonna have to make excuses like, it's the week anniversary since it came out. Let's have a party. It's 2 weeks. Let's have another.
Drive a bus somewhere.
It's Tuesday. Morning.
I think what's really memorable for me is that usually if you play a character in a movie who doesn't have a name, you don't get to sit on a panel and answer questions. With the rest of the cast, and the fact that Brian and I were made to feel welcome at all is incredible.
Well, Brian has a name.
That's right. So I mean,
has a name. Just you. It's only you.
Right. And thank you for reminding me again, Josh.
I think we're taking up enough mic time. By the way, I just want to, we did have parties. And yes, there's a party in the movie where some of the extras were actually partying on the other side of the house because they were our friends. I think most people were sober while they were working.
Next question, please.
Hi, my name is Gina. I think, Joss, if you do Hamlet, I think Tom Hiddleston should be Hamlet. Since you scored this film, how's the process like of scoring What You Do About Nothing?
Well, I'm like this. It was very difficult in some ways. Because I can't really play an instrument or work Pro Logic very well, so it went slowly. Also, I was doing the other thing. But it was honestly as much fun as shooting it, because when you do something like that, when you compose in a different way, you're a character in the movie. And suddenly I had to sort of control and augment mood and the changeovers. There's a lot, it's a very bipolar text. It goes from low comedy to high drama like that, and then it'll sort of ride one. And so, knowing that I was going to have to just sort of get in and out and do those things and try to find a sound that felt, evocative but original, which I have no idea if I accomplished that, but I had so much fun doing it. And the best part also is that I didn't have to do that much, because what I didn't want to do was layer music over Shakespeare's dialogue, which is the music of the film. I was just there to sort of augment it. And I tried to evoke a little bit of a sort of, well, my lodestar was Elmer Bernstein's score for The Grifters. Which this score is nothing like, but that sort of has that kind of ominous jauntiness to it that I wanted to get at. So, who knows?
You'll see. Next question.
We have time for 2 more questions. Hi, my name is Eric. Clark, thank you for saying you'll give me a hug because of my fiance breaking up with me. I appreciate that.
Yes, that made me mad.
Yeah, I mean,
Fiance broke up with you at WonderCon?
Yeah.
They should lose their nerve.
I'll be out there afterwards for my hug. But anyway.
Oh, I'm gonna bring this up.
any like
I
good
can't wait. Can we go now?
patience? My question was, were there any hijinks or pranks on the set between anybody, and if there's any stories about that?
Hijinks or pranks?
If this is when you revealed that it was all fucking prank.
The whole thing was kind of hijinks in a way. So,
You know, there's not a ton of hijinks when I'm shooting because I'm like, don't have fun unless it's after I say action and before I say cut. And we had to shoot 8 pages of Elizabethan dialogue every single day. So it was, we were all in a state of joy and Mikey's panic. It was just a constant. I don't know.
I mean, that was kind of what felt like probably not so accidental magic to the thing was completely consuming. It was all in the same place, and the camera was almost always rolling and shooting this stuff. So all that stuff, the hijinks, all that stuff, kind of made it into the film. You see it in some of the, it's there. You know, it wasn't spent out on the craft service table. It didn't sound right at all.
Anytime someone fell down, I had strategically placed a banana peel. So that's hijinks. You're welcome.
If you ever get Reed Diamonds to one of these panels, you'll discover what a true fop is. That was honestly, after filming the highlights, was Reed doing his fop.
There were hijinks, like in Toronto at the film festival, we met what we thought was Bono, but it was the world's greatest Bono impersonator. What was Bono? That we thought it was an answer, but it was Shakura, like that was hijinks and crazy. Sorry for Shakura.
We thought it was Shakura.
We're cringed by Shakura. Still angry about it.
Last question.
Thank you all so much for Much Ado, and John, thank you for what I like to imagine is Wesley and Fred finding each other in another dimension. My question is, so when do we get James Marsters and Juliet Landau to play Macbeth?
I think he said something about James and Juliet, but I didn't hear it all.
James and Juliet as Macbeth and Lady Macbeth.
Well, when we started the Shakespeare readings, it's because James desperately wanted to play Macbeth. And I said, you know, we used to do these readings. We should get together. And he's like, I'm in Macbeth. I think he actually, every reading we did, whatever part he got, he just played Macbeth. I don't think Festy the Jester sees Macbeth's ghost. No, he does. But Macbeth is a play that I struggle with enormously because they're not very likable. I can still kill people. Right after, I believe your last line is, we'll have dancing after, and then I sent you home, and that's when I had, I got a stunt double. And go, and China! Knew it.
Well, guys, thank you so much for coming out here.